Welcome back to Sports Sunday. Time now for some more Race for the Ring coverage. We bring in our analyst, Brad Sellers. Brad, you go back to Game 1 yesterday. The Cavaliers set the tone early in the first quarter, being very aggressive.
Well, they came out hard, often getting involved with pick and roll early, playing a very aggressive defensive game and offensive game, too, and took it to the Bulls from the start of the jumbo.
Team was in double-digit assists after the first quarter, and I think that's one of the great catalysts for the Cavaliers. If you know they're going to have a big game, you just look at that assist column, and as the assist numbers keep rolling, you know they're playing great.
Well, they've got a good team that really shares the basketball with one another. They got a lot of weapons. When you got Shaquille O'Neal, you've got Antoine Jameson, you've got LeBron James, you've got guys that can touch the ball. So it behooves this team to move the ball around and let other people get touches and have opportunities to score.
How difficult is that? I mean, seriously, we're talking about guys that have been the superstar by themselves at every level, and then you're at the pros, and we know who the superstars are on this team, and you really have to check your ego at the door if you want to win a championship, don't you?
Well, I think that every championship team checks their ego. They understand what it takes to actually get to this level. Fortunately, you have guys who have won on many levels here, and so they understand what it takes. They're going to continue to have to play like that if they want to push towards this championship that Cleveland so desperately needs.
Going back to that not selfish attitude, on Thursday night, the guys talked about how important Leon Poe is, because Leon has been there, has won the ring before, yet inactive. So, I mean, everyone really is, whether you're wearing a suit or you're a second-year guy like J.J. Hickson, who's probably wondering, what did I do wrong, but really didn't do anything wrong.
No, he didn't do anything wrong, and there are 14 guys on this team. They'll all be counted on, whether it be in practice or if their number's called in the game. And so it's a guy like J.J. Hickson, don't get down. You're young in this thing. You got to understand that your minutes will be called upon at some point in time during this playoff run, and he's going to be called upon to produce. He has to do that.
Same with Boobie Gibson as well.
Same with Boobie Gibson. He may be forgotten about in the first game, but you'll never know when your number is called. And those who respond and answer the bell are the best, are the ones that are remembered the most.
I want to talk about Shaq and his return after more than, we haven't seen him since February. He looks great. He was hustling up and down the floor. There is a difference between playoff Shaq and regular season Shaq.
No doubt about it. What you saw is a young man get himself together. Has been in this league for 18 years. He understands what it takes to make a playoff run, and he got himself in fabulous condition, and he made a statement today that I will be here to be dealt with for the next 15 games.
And it was a good mix between Shaq and Z. I don't know how much a 22-point lead played into that, but Z got his minutes. Z did what he needed to do as well.
Actually, it's a great three-man rotation, because you had Andy Varejao, Shaquille O'Neal, and Ilgauskas playing all at the different points of time, but they were very complementary to one another, and that's the presence that the Cavaliers will need down the stretch if they hope to bring this title back to Cleveland.
And if you're Mike Brown, and you look, you're saying there, I've got these three great guys. It's not just one guy. It's not like 07 where, Z was the guy you had to lean on. Andy was still kind of learning.
Oh, it's a la carte now, because you get to pick and choose what you need on the day that you need it. And one guy may not be going good that day. You have the luxury to bring in another one or two guys to kind of fill in that role. And it's a luxury that hadn't been seen in Cleveland here in a very long time.
All right, let's talk about LeBron James, because he's easily the easiest guy to talk about in this team. It was a 10-point game at one point, a little bit less than 10 in the fourth quarter, and that was when LeBron said, enough is enough, and he took over.
Well, I think LeBron played himself very well. He got his team in a position to win, obviously stripping the ball early. And then when it came down the stretch, what was key has been different in other years. When the Cavaliers needed a bucket, LeBron James took it upon himself to go down and make sure that a bucket was achieved for his team, and he was the one that went and got it.
I thought it was interesting. I was listening to on the radio before the game yesterday, and we're talking about, and it was something that I remember well too, that some people had said, well, LeBron maybe he's too nice to the other team, but he definitely has an edge this year that I think we saw on Thursday night when he was talking to the media. He's got a different edge to the playoffs this year, primarily because I think he's still upset about what happened against Orlando last year.
Well, I think definitely that last year left a definite impact and impression upon that young man. And you've seen some things throughout the year, statements being made about how he's downplaying and focused on the championship run. His three-point attempt at the buzzer against Atlanta a couple weeks ago, where people thought he should have went to the basket. And he's going for a dagger now. So now he understands that the ultimate goal is a championship. He's going to try to bring it back to Cleveland.
How do you gauge that? I mean, you were there when Michael Jordan became Michael always had the edge. I don't know, was he ever a nice guy and then turned a little bit as he was playing a little bit?
No, he was always a nice guy. Nasty when he needed to be, but he was a very nice guy, and that's what it takes here. You have to understand when it's time to turn that thing on, and you have to go out and exude not only that by verbally, but you got to go show it by your actions. And I think he's now starting to demonstrate it through his actions.
All right, expectations for Game 2. Chicago comes back and steals one in Cleveland. That's not good.
No, well, you know, the thing that the Cavaliers have to be wary of is a slippage in Game 2. They're going to come out, play hard. They have to focus in on Chicago, make sure that they don't go back to Chicago 1-1 and start a whole new dynamic in this thing. They've got to go out and take care of business again.
All right.